We are live. Let me know on the mic so you can hear me. Like I said, I usually don't have this all set up yet. Let me see. Let me do a pin comment here real fast. Go here. I'll do another one. Okay, do that one there too. Let me see. Let me get this out of the way. And we'll get rocking and rolling here. So sorry about that. Usually, I mean, sometimes I have trouble going live, like I said. So lots of times I'll have everything set up, and I gotta bring everything back when we have a technical difficulty. But anyway, we are continuing our chapter on YOU². I shouldn't have no distractions today. Aang is home. I'm not watching the pups all by myself. So yesterday we had the puppies running around, puppies running here, all that jazz. Okay, so let me see. Testing 1 2. Yeah, make sure I had it on the right mic. Every once in a while, it will flip back to the webcam, webcam mic up here, which the webcam mic works pretty good. Sometimes it just puts out an echo versus like a better mic. So we're on YOU². We're on chapter 15, I believe. And chapter 15 is Open Your Gifts. And like I said, I've read this book many times, but I don't proofread these chapters before we start. So it's kind of whatever I'm thinking, whatever pops in my mind to kind of expand on these things, just because it saves me time. So that way, I mean, when I go live, I'm getting to a point like, dude, a live stream is a live stream. So, I kind of have a thought to go live and I go live. There's no preparation. But anyway, I did read the quote he had, and it really brought up some kind of back in I'm still in business, but back in my business days, business consulting and stuff like that. When you say open your gifts and we start talking about our gifts and spiritual gifts, one of the main questions I get, even throughout my whole career, well, Chad, I don't know what my gifts are. I don't know what my spiritual gifts are. And how do you know what your gifts are? And this is a common question, and I'm going to give you an answer why that is, just in my opinion. You know what I mean? But let me read you the quote. Then this chapter is a little bit shorter, a tiny bit. But the quote is this: if you look at those particular skills you have developed over the years, the talents that you have exhibited, you will find they are the gifts you opened and enjoyed. Okay. And I'm going to put this, I'm going to grab my glasses here. But remember, your gifts are stuff that you enjoy to do. You understand? Your spiritual gifts is stuff that comes, it pretty much comes easy for you, but you enjoy to do them. That's why they become easy for you. But let me talk about this for a second before we move on to this chapter. And I don't know how, what Price Pritchard is going to say because I don't remember. But anyway, when we talk about our gifts, in my opinion, only in my opinion, you might agree with me, you might not. And you can jump on the chat if you want to. But anyway, when we talk about our gifts, like I said, the main question I get was, Chad, I don't know what my gifts are. I don't know what my spiritual gifts are. How do you know? How do you figure it out? And these are even coming from older adults. Even myself, we can kind of get confused of, what are my gifts? You know what I mean? And I think the main confusion comes from, honestly, it comes from the school system. Okay. And the reason why it comes from the school system is why I kind of picked up like being an entrepreneur, going into business, going into startups, being in our early days, being a business consultant and how to build a big brand, a big company, and going in and moving employees around to work at their strengths. And I actually did a lot of mentoring with Marcus Buckingham back in the day, and he was really big. If you know who Marcus Buckingham is, like he had an office in Beverly Hills when I lived in Culver City. So Marcus Buckingham used to be real. I mean, he still is, but back in the day, you probably knew who he was because if you had a job at a decent company, if you went to the HR department, like it was his trainings were in HR because his trainings were all on strengths, how to work to your strengths, even though the companies don't really uh, actually practice what they preach. You know what I mean? You go into HR departments and you watch are these Marcus Buckingham videos in the past, like working to your strengths. You know, your job description should rely on your strengths, and it's up to your leader and his CEO and your manager, whoever you report to, your manager, to make sure the job that you have is focused on your strengths, what you're good at. Okay, that's the whole point of Marcus Buckingham. If you work to your strengths, for one, you're going to enjoy your job because you're going to enjoy your job, but that's what you like to do. But two, if you're working to your strengths, you're going to be exceptional at it. Okay. It's kind of like an oxymoron because it's like companies bring these into the HR department, but they just die in the HR department. You get me? So it's not really throughout the whole company. They don't really implement it. That's the right word I want to use. But anyway, going back to high school, the reason I say I kind of blame it on the school system, a little bit, is because what's wrong with the school system is the school system and your teachers, all kind of focus on what you're not good at, focus on what you're bad at. You understand what I'm saying is you go through the school system. Like when I went through the school system, I was really, really, really good at math. Okay. I remember in high school and I didn't even do that great in high school, but anyway, the stuff that I was good at was a natural strength. I never had to study for like math. I took all the math classes in high school and I never had to study. You understand because that was a skill of mine. I was crazy good at math and I never had to study for it, whatever. But on the opposite scale, English is something I really struggled with. The subject of English, not speaking English, but the subject of English. Even when even I went to college, English was like a flipping death class. I think I failed English in college 2 or 3 times because you're writing thesis papers and stuff like that. And the issue is like what we learn in a school system, and we learn from our parents too, directly, indirectly, because our parents will be the same way lots of times, is it's always focusing on what we are not good at. It's always improving on what we're not good at. You know what I mean? That's why as a kid, we naturally just want to do. And if you have kids right now, I'm telling you the truth. Okay, we naturally just want to do and only do things we want to do, things we like and enjoy, things we're good at. We naturally go towards our strengths. You know what I mean? But once we enter the school system, it's a mix between our parents and teachers at the time that they basically want you to focus on only what you're not good at. It's like basically, well, Chad, you don't need to focus on math, that just comes naturally for you, but you really need to focus on English. Okay, you really need to focus on science. You know what I mean? It's always focusing on what you're bad at. And that philosophy, what happens is that philosophy in the school system transfers over to the work environment, to our careers. Why does it transfer over? Because other people went through the school system and they believe that you need to work on your weaknesses in order to go through life. Okay. Focus on your weakness. You ever hear that? Focus on your weaknesses, focus on your weaknesses. But the issue is when you have wealthy friends, you have wealthy mentors, all of a sudden it's reverse. It's Chad, focus on your strengths. Chad, focus on what you're good at. Because if you focus on your strengths, you become exceptional at it. If you focus on your weakness, you only become okay because it's still a weakness. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that we don't improve our weaknesses, but we don't focus on them. We only focus on our strengths. Okay. Now, let's kind of hold it in. What does that have to do with understanding our gifts. Okay. And like I said, I don't know how Price Pritchard is going to go into this chapter, but the reason why people are so confused about their gifts, what they're good at, okay, there's when we talk about spiritual gifts and stuff like that, the reason why you're so confused, and sometimes even myself, is because you constantly focus on what you're not good at. You constantly focus on your weaknesses. You never focus on what you want to do, what you like to do, what your strengths are. So basically, you're flipping confused because you spent years constantly. You have a job you hate. Okay. Inside your job, you don't focus on what you're good at or your strengths because that's not your job description. Okay. And sometimes that's not even your fault because it's the job's fault because they should be going in. If it's a, if they're trying to be an elite business, they're trying to be number one in their in number one in their niche, whatever you want to call it. Like they need to go in and they rearrange the employees. You find out the strengths of your employees you have, the strengths of your team, and you rearrange your job descriptions in order for them to work better. For one, it's gonna increase job satisfaction. People's gonna love coming to work rather than hate coming to work, and they're gonna do a better job. Just naturally, they're gonna do a better job because they're gonna love what they're fucking doing. Okay. No, you go in these jobs, even like, I lived in California for 18 years, but I'm originally from a small town. You go back to a small town where I'm from, it's all factory towns. And it's so funny when you go into these factories, they say, this factory is number one in our niche. We're number one in our domain, but they treat the employees like crap. Okay. They're not number one, baby. That means another company comes in. If they basically, dude, to basically dominate, if you start a company, you're an entrepreneur, and to basically dominate, it's so easy to dominate. It's so easy to have your brand or your company dominate if you just focus on the right things. You just focus on employee satisfaction, baby. You focus on your teams and your leaders' strengths. You focus on your employee strengths. You focus on customer service, which is an oxymoron nowadays. Okay, I'm kind of going off on a tangent on this, but dude, a lot of these companies have no clue. Okay, especially in small towns or stuff like that, but they're factory towns, and they bring in these factories that I don't want to go down the rabbit hole with that, but I'm actually going down the rabbit hole with it. Okay, but the whole point is the reason why you kind of get confused now about your strengths and what you're doing is you looking at the comments here. Um, you spent so long, and including the school system, constantly focusing on what you don't like. And it's been beat into you directly and indirectly. Okay. You've even been screamed at by your parents. You have to focus on, yeah, I got to do this. Okay. Or maybe they were brought up like that too, where you've heard from your parents, well, you got to have a job. A job is a job. You don't love your job. You hate your job. A job is a job. You get me on that. That's why when you go through life, you don't even know what your strengths are anymore because that's not what you focus on. So how you fix it, how you find out what your spiritual gifts are, your spiritual strengths, is actually start right now today. Start doing what you like, doing what you enjoy, and focusing on that only. Bottom line. Okay. I don't want to hear no, I mean, honestly, I'm in this mood today. I don't want to hear no bullshit about, well, Chad, you gotta focus on your weaknesses. Oh my God. Okay, then show me the results in your life if that's what you really believe. You make 50 grand a year, okay, because you focus on your weaknesses. Maybe you would make more money if you focus on your strengths. I know that to be a fact. That's a fact. If you focus on your strengths, you're gonna make more money. Bottom line. Okay. So, but anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Let's get rocking on this chapter. Open your gifts. We're on YOU². So, what does Price Pritchard really mean? Open your gifts. You have many gifts that you've been you. I mean, you have many gifts that you've never opened. These are gifts of talent, ability, and reach that are yours for your taking. The people we call gifted are different from the crowd in one very special way. They accepted their gifts, they let it happen. The high achievers, the persons you admire, are those individuals who open their gifts. These winners have more gifts because they claimed them, took them out of the wrapping, and used them. Okay, so let me clarify. Okay, I mean, I understand what Price Pritchard is saying, But the bottom line, let's be practical here. The bottom line, they followed their strengths, they follow what they're good at. They didn't follow the status quo. Okay. The status quo is you focus on your weaknesses. Okay. You only go a little bit when you focus on your weaknesses. If you focus on your strengths, okay, that will take you way, way farther. You'll make way, way more money in your life if you just focus on your strengths. You'll figure out all your gifts just focusing on your strengths. Maybe Price Pritchard would say this. I don't know. Listen, now it's time for you to do something with your gifts. Claim them and you create them. Reach for them and they materialize. Use them and they grow to serve you still better. If you look at those particular skills you have developed over the years, the talents that you have exhibited, you will find there are gifts you opened and enjoyed. Again, what he's saying, your gifts are stuff that you enjoy doing, what you like doing. That's why I'm telling you in the beginning of this live stream is you need to focus on your strengths. You need to focus on what you're good at. Okay. Once you start doing that, that's going to take you farther than focusing on your weaknesses, focusing on what you're not good at. You have to understand this. Okay. But how many others, let me continue reading. But how many others are there within your reach? For every gift you've opened over the years, there are hundreds that you've never unwrapped and taken out the package. This unused potential hides there, just waiting to play a role in your quantum leap. Now, remember, when Price Pritchard says quantum leap, U², this book is all about you taking extraordinary leaps. You're not there is no logical steps to things. There is no step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Okay, that's what you were just trained to believe. But you can move from step 1 and skip many steps and arrive at step 5. That's what he's meaning quantum leaps. When you make a quantum leap, you find out many new things about yourself. U² is a fascinating experience in self-discovery. A transformation occurs at metamorphosis. Think of a striped caterpillar humbly crawling along the stem of a milkweed plant a few inches from Mother Earth, changing into a strikingly beautiful monarch butterfly that soars high in the air, bravely journeys thousands of miles in its yearly pilgrimage. Holy Mother of God. Okay, they can't write any longer sentences of this than using difficult words. Okay, throwing in a funny there. To become a monarch, he's talking about to become a beautiful butterfly from a caterpillar, to free those shining alban wings to fly high and free, the creature must break out the cocoon of safety and open its gifts. Open some more of yours. Find your wings. And this is how he ends this chapter. Now, remember Price Pritchard, in many of his chapters, he kind of abruptly ends it. It's kind of like he ends it and you kind of want more. You're like, oh, what are you trying to say? Okay, because remember, each chapter kind of leads into one. But one of the things, Price Pritchard never kind of really talked about gifts. Okay, he kind of, in my opinion, he kind of went around the topic. Okay, if Price Pritchard was here, maybe I would spank him. but listen to this. Okay, just from my experience. Okay, as an adult, people become an adult no matter how old you are, and they don't know what their gifts are. That's the main question I get over time is, Chad, how do I know what my gifts are? How do I know? And the reason why you don't know is because you've been trained to focus on what you're not good at. You've been trained as a little kid going through school to work on your weaknesses, to work on stuff that you don't like to do. Okay. You hated English in school, but that's a chapter you had to focus on. Okay. Okay. What you were good at and what subject you were really good at school. Okay, you were pretty much told, oh, don't focus on that. You don't need to focus on that. You already know this. Focus on your weaknesses. Okay, focus on what you're not good at. You have to get good at this stuff. Okay, so basically, kind of going through the school system, listening to that BS, and it's really BS. Okay, now back then I didn't know it was BS, but now I look at it as BS because it doesn't make you exceptional in life. It's not going to take you to your dream life. Okay, you focusing on your weaknesses isn't going to take you to your dream life at all. I don't listen to this. I don't know one of my friends that is living life on their terms, living their dream life, doing what they want, that focus on their weaknesses. I don't know one person. I do not listen. I do not know one millionaire, and I know a lot of them personally that focuses on their weaknesses. You have to understand this. Okay, you have to look at this. The only people I know that focus on their weaknesses are middle class, or they're in poverty, or they have a job they hate. Okay, you have to understand this. Like maybe I'm speaking rough with you a little bit in this video, but you have to understand this is you what you really want in life, you're not going to get from working on your weaknesses. And that's kind of the same oxymoron question I'm getting is, well, Chad, I don't know. I don't know what my gifts are because you're confused. And I used to be that way. You're confused because you constantly do things you don't like to do. And I know as an adult, listen, I know as an adult, we're always going to do things we don't like to do. We're always going to improve a little bit. But listen to this. If like let's go back to high school. Okay, if I was really good in math, I never had to study for math, and I took all the math classes, calculus, algebra, advanced algebra, algebra 2, whatever, trigonometry or whatever. I never had to study for this stuff. It just came easy for me. Okay, but then since it came easy for me, well, Chad, don't focus on that. Focus on English that you sucked at. Okay, but what happens as an adult? Okay, I focus on English that I sucked at. I become okay at English. Okay. Then I give up focusing on stuff that comes natural to me. If you just focus on stuff that comes natural to you, you become exceptional with it. You understand? Okay. That when you focus on your weaknesses, you just become okay. It becomes, it's still a weakness. You become okay at it. Okay. But it's still not a strength because that's not what you love to do. Okay. But if you only focus on what you're good at, what you want to do, go back to being a kid again. Listen to this. I said this in the beginning is if you have kids, this is true. Either you can think back when you were a kid or you have kids. Okay. When you have kids, it's right in your face, meaning they just naturally do it. They organically do it. They only want to do things they like to do. Why is that? They're just naturally following their spirit. They only want, we have kids, they only want to do what they love to do, what they like to do, what they enjoy, and they throw a temper tantrum if they don't want to do it or they don't like it. But then as a kid, we force them, sometimes we physically force them, we punish them if they're not going to do what they have to do, what they hate. Okay. But the issue is the school system takes a hold of this, and that's the only thing we focus on. Okay. Is things that we don't like, we hate, unless we've had very successful parents that didn't teach us that, okay, or taught us differently than a school system, okay, because if we have very, very successful parents, lots of times we're kind of modeling our parents, meaning that our parents are pretty much doing what they like and enjoy, so we end up modeling that, okay, and for some reason, I've always, um, uh, of course, I went through the school system. Of course, I went through, focusing on things I'm not good at. But I kind of tended to only do things I like to do, enjoyed, and focused on that. I don't know why. I don't know. Now I do. Now I've talked about high functioning autism before and stuff like that. I don't know if it's high functioning autism where I just really laser focus on stuff I like and nothing else is going to deter me from that. I don't know if it's that or why. I just naturally did it. And as I got older and out of college, and I got great mentors in my life that were wealthy and very successful and had very wealthy, very successful companies, they kind of validated what I was doing. You understand? They kind of validated that, Chad, you need to focus on your strengths. That's how you get exceptional. Okay. You don't get exceptional focusing on your weaknesses. You know what I mean? You focus a little bit on them, but you have to get okay at it if it's something you got to do. But most of your time should be only focusing on what you're good at, what you like. And that's what, like, later on, that's what's going to bring you closer to living life in your terms. That's what's going to bring you closer to your dream life, my friends. You know what I mean? We all want different things. So don't get caught up into what I want is better than somebody else. Okay. You're giving up your energy when you think that way because everybody is consciousness. Okay. Okay, don't bring somebody's energy over to your energy because you attract that energy. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but that's just all consciousness. You got to be really careful. Okay, just let it be. Focus on you. Focus on how you want to live your life, what you want, and it's no listen to this. It's no better than what somebody else wants. Okay, you have to understand that. Okay, if somebody else just talks about money, 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 and that puts a knot in your stomach, well, that just means you have some money blocks. Okay, you got some stuff, you got some dirt in there. Maybe you grew up and your parents always argued about money, and that's what you heard. Okay, and so you got some money blocks to work out. But if somebody else is more geared towards money and you're geared toward giving to charities, don't just focus on what you want, what makes you happy. Okay, that's the name of the game. Okay, that's what I mean by live life in your terms. Okay, you live life unapologetically on your terms and you do what you want. But what that means, it's different for everybody. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Like what I want might not be what you want. I love to travel. Right now, I live in Thailand. I've been in Thailand since 2021. I go back to the States, of course, but a lot of people don't want to travel. Maybe people want to travel for vacations, okay, but they don't want to live abroad. Makes sense. So, don't all I'm saying is don't get caught up with what other people want for their lives. Then we get in this big debate, almost like a religious debate, is what I want is more superior than what this person wants. Okay. You're really going down a rabbit hole you don't want to go. Okay. It's almost like going down the unforgiveness rabbit hole. Like we've all, I mean, when you get older, we all have things happen to us and we have unforgiveness there. This is why the Bible's, I hate, this is why the Bible says that to forgive, let the dead bury the dead. Because when you don't forgive on a conscious level, you're linked to that other person. Even though you can't see it, you're linked. And what this means is you're linked to the other person. And when we're all consciousness, you end up manifesting from that other person because you're bringing their junk over to you. And it's almost like you're an empath. Okay. Now, if you're an empath, all the empath means you absorb other people's energy. You walk in a room and you can feel people right now. You can feel their energy. I mean, in the basics, you can feel someone's happy or sad, happy or mad. Okay, that's the basics to an empath. But what most people don't understand is when you absorb other people's energy on a conscious level, I'm bringing their energy over to me and I'm acting and behaving like it's really happening to me. Isn't that really true? You know what I mean? But the scary thing is, if I believe it's happening to me when it's really not happening to me, I manifest on that level of consciousness. Does that make sense? Okay. That's why, like, if you're an empath and you have that now, it's a superpower, but we need to control this superpower. If you absorb other people's energy, you got to tell yourself, and sometimes you have to say it out loud, their shit is not my shit. Okay. Like I tend to be an empath. So, I'll tell myself something out loud, but once I start absorbing it, I can feel it. You know what I mean? Then it starts, it's almost like, let me give you a good example. It's almost like you have a friend at work, they work at your same job, but you get along with the boss great, the boss loves you, but your friend at work, the boss don't love. Okay, so your friend is always, angry and complaining about the boss, whatever, but you, and as an empath, you absorb that. Now all of a sudden, you have an issue with the boss. Why is that? Because you manifested it because you absorbed that energy from another person. And you took that energy on as it was happening to you. And once you take the energy on like it's really happening to you, well, guess what? It happens. Okay. Okay. That's what I'm saying is an empath. You have a superpower, but you need to control it. Okay, my friends. I don't even know why I kind of got down that rabbit hole. It kind of led from gifts and spiritual gifts into into manifesting and stuff like that. But everything links. That's all I'm saying. Is if kind of wrap up this live. I mean, if you have a question, you can ask a question on the chat, and I'll answer it. Just because this is a book review, you know, people can jump in and ask questions, or if you don't, even if you disagree with me, you can say that in the chat. It doesn't bother me. Okay. And the reason why it doesn't bother me is, and it shouldn't bother you either, because the thing is, on a conscious scale, is everybody's right. Isn't that true? You might disagree with me. So Chad knows people are wrong. But on a conscious level, everybody is right. On a manifesting level, everybody is right. Okay. Even Neville Goddard taught this in the law of assumption. What is the law of assumption? Law of assumption is whatever you assumed to be true for you has to happen in your world. Okay. So basically, is whatever I believe to be true for me has to happen. And whatever you believe to be true for you has to happen as well. Okay. That's why on a conscious level, you know, sometimes when people debate, love to debate, well, they're both right, because they're both going to be proven right in their 3D world. You understand? Hey, Rhythm, what's up? I'm feeling the strength other person is more important than the weakness. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your strengths are way more important than your weakness. But what I was saying is most of the time when we go through the school system, and maybe you experience that, I think all of us do, unless our parents kind of, you know, didn't believe that philosophy, is we need to focus on our strengths, and we need to align everything with our strengths, what we're good at. And you know, even if like most of us have jobs and stuff like that, you know, aligning a job along with your strengths, or if you're in a company where you can kind of move up and apply to different jobs within your company, you know, you go to something that aligns more with what you want to do, what your strengths are, and so forth. Because if you're doing what you love to do, you're going to be exceptional at it. That's the bottom line. And 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 this was a kind of a rabbit hole I was talking about earlier, because like in the beginning of my career, after I got out of college, then I moved to California. I was kind of lucky because I worked for a company that the CEO really liked me. So the CEO was mentoring me, but the CEO was a millionaire and he owned the company. And that's when I started kind of, you know, you're hanging around with just really high caliber people in success. And that's one of the things I learned is they focused on their strengths. They focused on what they're good at. They didn't focus, you know, even if they had a great company, they would actually, now it took a lot of work for the company. They would even go in and all their employees, even if an employee was new, you know, it will take a while, but the whole job of a leader is to figure out what your employees are good at and align them with their job description, them doing what they're good at. I mean, that's really the whole job of a leader is figuring out all the strengths for your employees and making sure those strengths are being used inside the company. Now, of course, a lot of companies don't do this, even if they know the knowledge. Okay, they don't do it. But let me see what you're saying. Well, yeah, exactly. Like you felt lost in a vocation. Like if you feel computers, that's something you're really passionate about, you're good at, it becomes natural for you. You should go more in that direction, because that's really like that's kind of like I've kind of I don't know how long you were on the live stream, but when I opened it up, it was I'm gonna have a brain fart here. I apologize. Uh when you focus on what you're good at, it takes you more aligned with your spiritual gifts. That's what I was trying to say. Is lots of times we as adults, unfortunately, it happens in adulthood that we tend to kind of lose sight of what we want to do. We tend to lose sight of what are my spiritual gifts? Well, I know I have gifts, but I don't know what they are. Because I think the reason why we have that is because we spent so much time into doing things we just don't want to do. We spend so much time in doing things that we hate. And we spend so much time on our weaknesses, we lose sight of our strengths. We lose sight of what we're not just naturally good at. And, you know, and this is coming from personal experience. You know, all the ultra wealthy people I know, I'm personal friends with. You know, I don't know them just online. You know, I've hung out with them. You know, all of them, not some of them, all of them, literally focus on what they're good at. And sometimes when they go higher and higher in the company, they're their CEO, whatever. You know what they do? They align their day. They're only focusing on what they're good at as they kind of go up the ladder or go up the corporate ladder. Okay, they basically start delegating things to other people that what they don't want to do because they're not good at it, or it's just not a strength. But they give it to somebody. See, the key is they give it to somebody that it's their strength. I'm not just giving it to a random person that hates doing it. I'm giving it to somebody that that's what their forte is. That's what they love to do. And so that's kind of that's kind of like what I mean with that. Um, but like for me, and I'm not telling you to do this, okay? Is because I mean, for me, even in the past, like I've quit a lot of jobs in the past just because it didn't really align. Sometimes it doesn't align with your morals and values. And sometimes it just, you know, it's just sucking the life out of you. And you know, if your intuition is telling you you got to move on or at least look, you know, you need to follow that intuition. If your intuition is telling you like, oh, I love computers, that's what you got to do. Even though it's scary, you know what I mean? It's scary to follow our intuition. It's not, it's, yes, it's easy. It's easy to talk about. Okay. But, you know, kind of doing it can be a little bit scary is because sometimes we're not used to listening to our intuition. And sometimes that takes us up to the fear barrier. When we talk about the fear barrier, is your intuition, those little gut instincts you have to do something. Sometimes it takes you out of your comfort zone. And when you go outside your comfort zone, that's when like worry, doubt, and fear creep in, and it takes you up to like a fear barrier. But what we have to understand is this fear barrier. One, it's invisible. It's made up in our mind. It's not really real. You know what I mean? We make it real, but what you want is on the other side. So, like in this example, if you want to focus on computers, that's what you love, but it's on the other side of fear. It's not in your comfort zone. And that's what I mean. Our dream life, what we want is never ever in our comfort zone. Okay. It's outside of our comfort zone. So we have to step outside, but our intuition and our gut is going to, some things are going to be easy. Some things, you know, I have an intuition or gut feeling to do something. Some things are easy. We do it right away. And that's why I always say, always follow your intuition and gut because you get better at it. But I think the reason we get better at it because it's going to give us something to do that we're scared to do. And if you're kind of really kind of rhythmed into or conditioned into kind of listening to your intuition and listening to your gut and actually following through with it, it's a little bit easier to do things that kind of scare you a little bit. It's a little bit easier because you get more confident and you know like your intuition isn't going to do you wrong. And you get more confident in that and you end up listening to it more. You know, and sometimes, we don't I mean, I tend to believe that, and this goes down to whatever you assume to be true has to happen to you, is we don't miss our opportunities, you know, because lots of times an intuition hits us and we don't follow it. Okay. Sometimes it just hits, it's so light. It's like a little whisper in your mind. And you just like, you might just tune it off for some reason. You might just say, I'll do it later. But then it doesn't come back right away. But I do believe that it wraps around. We'll have another intuition, another way to do it. And I know we had this talk before on a live with intuition. And you know, it's really just about following it and letting go of the how and stop looking. It was lots of times we get tripped up into, well, I listened to my intuition, but it didn't really take me to where I wanted to go because you're looking for it. Okay. How I look at it is sometimes our intuition takes you to a next puzzle piece. And once we're there, we have another intuitive thought, gut feeling to do something. It takes us, but it's always taken us closer to what we want. And sometimes it takes us straight there. Sometimes, kind of how I tend to believe, sometimes it's like a puzzle piece. It takes us there, but it's kind of like we think nothing really happened, but it's kind of like a chain reaction. Like I did this over here, but I'm thinking nothing really happened. I'm thinking, well, yes, I'm listening to my intuition, but okay, it told me to go grab a gallon of milk in this store, and nothing happened. But it tends to kind of lead you silently where you want to go. Like if I didn't make this choice to go here, maybe I wouldn't have had this choice over here to go here. So they all link together to kind of get you your ultimate goal, what you really want to achieve. Yes, exactly. Always comes back to the herd. So so let me take a sip of water. But this was an okay chapter. I kind of spun the chapter my way. I'm not going to read it to you because we already read it. But um, I mean, I know what Price Picture was saying with open your gifts. I'm going to stay focused on it, but I kind of felt like he didn't really hit the core of what was really going on, and that's why I put in a lot of my commentary with this chapter because I felt like to the core what's going on is people don't know. People get lost, and I mean it's kind of like the same thing as all the answers we have, all the answers we seek are inside of us. It's not outside of you. Everything you want is inside of you. It's inside of you. It's like, because that's consciousness. Everything. You don't have to go outside of yourself. Okay. The answers you seek, the answers you have about yourself, about life, they're all coming out inside of you. What makes it confusing is because we have this habit to think like it's outside of us. So I got to go to 10 of my friends and ask 10 of my friends, what would you do? Then they give me 10 different answers. Then we go to maybe a sibling, a brother and sister, something we really trust. But what would you do? And then they give us a different answer than 10 of our friends. Maybe you're involved with a mastermind group or something like that, where then and you're asking them, what I mean? Maybe you get better feedback at that point. But the bottom line is sometimes when you ask too many, you go too much outside of yourself. That's what confusion comes in. Then all of a sudden you're just kind of like, I have no clue which way to go. I asked 20 people and I got 20 different answers. Your mind feels confused, and I've done that. If I'm not careful, I'll still fall into a trap of that. And when I'm kind of confused, again, what how I kind of go through this is that I know I need to sit back. I gotta stop searching, stop looking for the how, stop asking people, sit back, whatever you want to say, ask the universe, ask God, whatever, and let it go. Stop asking, let it be, let the dead bury the dead, kind of get quiet with it, move on to something else because the answer will come to you 100%. Because when we get in that confusing state, we start battling it, we start trying to force it. Remember, all force negates, no matter how well we try to manipulate things to happen. All force negates. Physical force negates, mental coercion negates, and even looking for the how negates. You know what I mean? Even like I peek out the window and say, "Oh, my dream car isn't sitting out there right now." Looking for it, it negates because it puts you in a state that you don't have. And the whole point that everybody with manifesting, never God or Thomas Sowell or whatever, it's always coming down who you're being. It's always coming down to you act as if you have it. So if you already have it, you wouldn't be checking on it because you already have it. So like even for myself, that's what I'm extremely working on is stop contradicting my states. Okay. What would you really be? You have kind of always have to ask yourself this: what would you really be doing if you already had what you want? And the ultimate question is, you wouldn't be searching for it. I mean, lots of times you kind of want to give it two shits. And I know it sounds kind of arrogant, but it's really true. Like if I already have water, I can just go in there and grab water. Like like it's just this is simple. You know what I mean? And I don't care. I'm not overthinking it. I'm not walking in the kitchen and saying, is the water still there today? Where is it? You know what I mean? But that's kind of what we're doing in manifesting. We want big things. Okay. And, I just did a video on this that it went live publicly, and it talks about, and I got your thing. I got your thing. Hopefully, I don't forget what I was going to say, but I got a bolt of enlightenment today with my Lego computers. Yeah, then follow it, baby. I mean, that's your intuition. Sometimes it just comes to you. Maybe it's something you've been trying to figure out, and all of a sudden you wake up one day, and it's like, aha, I got it. I know what I want to do. And so congratulations with that. I mean, 100%. Uh, but the video went live today. It should be easy to find because it's on the public side, but it really talks about Neville Goddard. I mean, it's a really good point because I made a video a long time ago about Neville Goddard's ladder technique. And the ladder technique was just a prereq of proving law of assumption was real, proving imagination creates reality. But one thing Neville Goddard said was, and actually to work with Neville Goddard, you had to do the ladder technique and it had to work for you. It was kind of a prereq to work with him. Then if it worked for you, when you actually went to work with him, he would tell you that, well, congratulations that you manifested a ladder. Congratulations that you find yourself in a position to climb a ladder when you didn't want to climb a ladder. But the big but he said was that, but you could have just as easily manifested $1 million. And I did a video on that. I kind of really broke it down because what he really meant by that is everything is on the same plane. You understand? And I kind of remember when I picked up my bottle of water. If listen, if you want to manifest this water, you probably could do it because you wouldn't be attached to it. Okay. You'd probably manifest a cup of coffee because you don't care about a cup of coffee. Okay. There's no there's nothing there. It's something you've done a million times. Okay. But what Neville Goddard is saying is that his ladder technique, if it worked, and he picked a ladder because who wants to climb a ladder? Who cares? Right. But if this was a ladder or a bottle of water or coffee, what your dream life is on the same plane. It's this exact same. Okay. If you want $1 million, what Neville was saying, it's the same thing as if you manifest as this water. There's no difference. There's no one's on a pedestal. It's on the same level. Okay. That's what Neville Goddard was trying to say. It's the same thing, the same way you would manifest this water is the same exact way you would manifest your dream house, your dream car, manifest the life you want, manifest vacations, manifest your dream career. It's on the same plane. There's no difference. And the reason why I made this video is because not this video, but the one that just went public is because I got so many questions with the ladder technique. And people wanted to know, well, if the ladder technique worked, how do I do the ladder technique, but get it to work for my dream house, my dream car, get it to work for something I really wanted or what I really want? Because of course I don't want a ladder. you know what I mean? But that's what Neville Goddard is really trying to teach. It's on the same plane. It's no different. How you manifested a ladder, how you manifest this water is the same exact way. There's no difference. You manifest what you want. The issue is we get in our own way. That that we kind of put things on a pedestal. Okay. See, this water is kind of it's something that comes easy to us. Okay. I don't need to search for it. I can go anywhere and get water. Okay. And it's aligned with us. Okay. It's not more important than us. we kind of have it's kind of like we don't overthink it. I never think about water until I'm thirsty. You understand? But what we end up doing is when we want our dream house, we want something we really want. We want to make more money. We want our dream career. Okay, this is my dream career. This pin. We put it on a pedestal. It's way above us, and we think and we kind of think it's above us. We think it's far away, but in reality, what Neville Goddard is saying is it's down here. It's natural. You have to get to a point where it's natural to you. Once it's natural to you, this is why manifesting techniques, that's why sometimes you have to do affirmations over and over and over and over and over and over and over, because you want to get it to get natural to you. Once it's natural to you, it comes down to your level, just like this bottle of water. It's natural to me. I'm not looking for it. Okay. I could care less. Okay. Just like a cup of coffee, just like the ladder technique, I could care less. Okay. You kind of have to get into a state that you care less about what you want, because that's bringing it down to you. Okay. It needs to come down to your level. Right now, it's up here where, oh my God, it's so far away from me. How in the world can I manifest $1,000,000? How in the world can I become a millionaire? How in the world can I manifest my dream house? Because you have it above you when nothing is above you. Okay. Even if we go into spiritual talk, you have dominion on this earth. Nothing is above you. You are above everything on this earth. Okay. But we put it above us. Same thing with SP work, baby. This is an excellent example of trying to manifest your SP is because you put the other person above you. Okay, then we start acting when you think this person's above you, we start acting awkward around them. We start acting obsessive. We start acting like, oh, how can we bring them into our life when it's the reverse? You understand when you're just natural, they're not above you, they're equal to you. Then you act a little bit more normal. You don't give off that weird energy that kind of repels them from you. Okay, when it's normal for you, it's what I want to say. You have standards and boundaries and non-negotiables around it. Meaning, if they do something, like if someone does something, like in the SP world, if someone does something that you really don't like, well, you're not going to keep on pursuing. Okay, but when you have them on a pedestal way up here, you keep pursuing. You know what I mean? Because you're giving up a piece of yourself. You're giving up your standards and boundaries, non-negotiables. Sometimes you're giving up your morals and ethics and doing things you wouldn't do just because you're trying to please it. You think they're way up here, but it's only in our mind. In reality, they're equal to you. That's what you have to think. And same thing with your dream house, whatever. In reality, everything's equal to you, but we're putting it way up here, like it's above us when it's not above us. Okay. And when we stay in this state, it's never going to come to you until you realize you're above it. Okay. When you realize you're above it, it starts coming to you because you start being natural around it. You start acting natural, like somebody. I already have what I want. I already have my dream house. Okay. You become natural around money. Okay. When you're not natural with money, you seem weird about money. Or when people talk about money, it gets, you get anxious, you get little knots. You might think like, oh, why does he talk about money? It might trigger you. Well, because you have money on a pedestal. That's why it triggers you. You're not natural around it. Okay. Let me see. I have another. I just had to put everything down, and I've always wanted to manifest a meaningful and purposeful career. Didn't know my direction, but now you know your direction because now you figured out that you love computers. Now I don't know if you have I don't know if you have computer knowledge or whatever. If it comes easy to you, if you love computers, it comes easy to you. So this has to come easy. This has some of this stuff, or I mean, I well now I don't really work in IT because I'm an entrepreneur. So sometimes when I say I work in IT, yes, I work in IT, but I work on my own stuff. So, you know what I mean? Uh, uh, like when I used to work in entertainment, I that's when I got involved with software, being a software engineer. Okay. But I'm self-taught. Okay. Meaning like when I grew up, I was a big gamer when I grew up. And I remember like when I'm old enough where the Nintendo came out. Okay. I was 13 when the Nintendo came out. And I remember like being a teenager, there were all these, this is like the gaming system phase when they came out with all these gaming systems. And I would have 4 or 5 gaming systems and I would hook them all up to the TVs and no, I mean, to me, it just came easy to me is that's because again, that's what I like to do. Uh, so so back in then I got into business after college, but it was old school business, meaning like when you're building a brand, you're building a company and stuff like that. You're basically out talking to people, doing old school. You know what I mean? Then I believe in when was it? I don't know, 2008 ish, something like that, when really digital marketing became hot. And when digital marketing became hot, every company wanted to put everything online, have websites, have, sales funnels and everything else. But since I had a love for computers, okay, it was a skill of mine. I was self-taught. I had the business knowledge that we were doing in person. So I transitioned. Okay. But I transitioned because I taught myself everything. Okay. And sometimes I would take certification courses and stuff like that. So you learning coding and stuff like that, depending upon that's the rabbit hole you want to go down. Uh, but for me, even if you're self-taught, this is good. For me, when back in the day when I would have jobs, employers, honestly, employers love self-taught. They love that you have an ambition for computers, whatever kind of an area you want to go with it, because they know if you love doing it, you have a skill doing it, it's really over someone who has a degree in it. Because most of the time nowadays, when someone goes get a computer science degree or a software engineer degree, they only know what school taught them, but they don't really love it because they just got the degree because they knew they could get a good job in it. Uh, so lots of times, just in my experience, like a lot of employers, if you're self-taught and you tell them like things that you do and you love to do, most of the time they hire you on the spot almost. Because they know that you're going to have that skill set that you can figure it out, and that's a skill set I have is I can figure it out. Even if I don't know how to do it right now, I can look at it and I know right away I can figure out how to do this. Okay. Maybe it takes me a day, maybe it takes a couple hours, maybe it takes me a few days, but I figure out how to do it. And that's a skill that most companies want you to have is you just don't throw up your arms and say, "Oh, sorry, I don't know. I don't want to figure it out." That's what's going on in the job market right now. Okay, so if you have that skill set, you love computers, but you can figure things out. I mean, you would dominate. I mean, 100%. Uh, I wanted to get into OS. Now, what do you mean OSINT? And even with myself, like once I figured out what I wanted to go with YouTube and wanted to go with that one, like I'm the one doing everything. I'm the one building the websites. I'm the one building everything. Do- Um, you know what I mean? I'm not hiring someone to do it because I know how to do it. Uh, so, but computers, it's so broad. Sometimes you have a knack for certain areas, what you want to do, but I'm really giving you great advice because I mean, honestly, I'm not even making this stuff up. You go search for a job. This is what you want to do. It comes easily for you, and you can figure things out. Like you can basically self teach yourself, even if you do like an online course or something, or you can sit down and figure stuff out. I mean, people will hire you uh, left and right because you might go into a company where they've already experienced like I hired all these people from college, but once they can't figure anything out, they don't want to figure it out. So when they go to somebody that's self-taught that loves it, usually you can figure it out. You can look at it and be like, oh, I can figure this stuff out. I can do this. So, and I hear that not just from my opinion, I hear it from a lot of people that work in IT. Like they would rather hire people that are self-taught or really love what they're doing. Like, either they did it as a kid, or you found out later in life. That's what you really want to do. They really want to know that this is what I really want to do. This is my bread and butter. I don't do it just because I make good money at it. I do it because I like it. I love it. Oh, okay, 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 okay. Yeah, I'm not really into that side. I had a buddy. What did he go into? What was popular? It's still kind of popular. He got his master's degree in it. I'm trying to think. It's kind of like open source, but it's like it's not information technology, but it's on the security side of things. He went into that was kind of getting kind of popular. He got his master's in it. Because I think he had like computer not computer. He wasn't a programmer, but I think he got his bachelor's in computer information systems or something like that. Was a little bit easier than being a programmer, like going in and coding and and doing all that stuff. Uh, but it was kind of close to the open source intelligence, or going into the security side of things. So he does that. That kind of interests me a little bit, uh, but that means I'm taking a I don't know. We'll see. But it does interest me, like all kind of like technology or computers and stuff like that. Uh, oh yeah, cybersecurity. That's what I was trying to think of. Um, so he's in cybersecurity right now. I think he works. I'm trying to think. He works for. I know the company. It's a huge company. I'm having a brain fart. Shoot. He actually used to work for Facebook. He worked for Facebook one time. LinkedIn. There's another big one. Um, I can't think of the name, but he's worked for like some big companies. Uh, but yeah, but no, but honestly, good for you. I mean, good that you're really figuring out what you want to do. Um, Maybe it took a little bit while, but it's kind of like the same thing with me with YouTube. Is that I kind of was just jumping on YouTube a couple years ago. Kind of, I kept up with posting, but I didn't really know kind of what angle I wanted to go, except stuff I knew that I was interested in. And then January of 2025, it's kind of like what happened to you right now with computers. I woke up one day and I was just like, I just got it. It's like a light bulb popped off, and I was like, oh, I know the direction I want to go. I know what I want to do, like with it. So congratulations to you. Um, but that's why I kind of got down to the whole when you say computers and kind of stuff I do. I kind of do it a little bit different, but uh, but uh, but good for you. I'm happy for you. I'm still thinking about where does he work? Salesforce. That's where he works. He works at Salesforce. I knew I could think of it. That's why I'm sitting here thinking like I have like a brain fart look on my face. He works at Salesforce right now. So he worked at Facebook for a while. I think he moved from Facebook to Salesforce. So but that's where he works right now. So I knew it was like a kind of a popular company, but I couldn't think of it. But I knew it was gonna come to me either in this live stream or once I walk away. I won't just be sitting on the couch and it's gonna come to me. So like he works at Salesforce. But yeah. No, you should do a little dance. You should be excited or go celebrate because like lots of times that just means you're on the right track. You know what I mean? You kind of feel like you're right now you're finally doing what you want to do. you finally figured out what you want to do. And and it's it's exciting. We should always celebrate our little wins. I'm gonna go off on a tangent, but but you know it, because life is supposed to be enjoyed, be fun, be lighthearted. So enjoy the moment, enjoy the little win. It's great. It's fantastic when you finally figure out that it's been a question on your mind, like you don't know, and you don't know if it's ever going to be answered. And it was answered for you. So yeah, so I'm happy for you. It's always exciting when we're kind of going down the what we really want to focus on, what we want to do. We truly figure it out. And but yeah, uh, yeah. I I've been going for like an hour on this live stream. So, but anyway, tribe, I might have to wrap this up. I have been going an hour and 5 minutes. Um, but this has been like a fantastic live stream. We started off with the book, started off with roller gifts that landed. I went down the rabbit hole with my own experience with that, and because I thought like Price Pritchard wasn't really doing it for me in this chapter. I agree with the chapter, but he kind of went a different direction than what my mood was in, or what just from talking to people, what people struggle with, or what the questions they have around the topic. And I think that's kind of when I put in a lot of my commentary. But all of you out there, thanks for chatting, thanks for asking questions. Rhythm, I appreciate you. Good night. And right now it's morning time in Thailand. Good night to you. But it's what time is it right now? It's 11:30 a.m. in Thailand. So, but thanks for chatting. It's always appreciated. Uh, and people jumping on and having questions and telling me their wins and stuff like that. And so it's all appreciated. But anyway, good night, Rhythm. Good night, tribe. And I will see you tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow is Sunday. I'm gonna try to go live, but on Sundays we have the Sunday coffee talk. I usually film on Sunday morning. Then tomorrow I have to take the puppies to their vet. So this is, I don't know if I'm gonna film it or not, but I filmed their first one. So a little bit bigger now, but they got their second round of vaccines and shots. That's tomorrow. Unless they're closed, but I think they're open on Sundays. That's our appointment. So we'll probably take them sometime in the morning. So we'll kind of see if I go live or not, because it will be a little bit busy in the morning. But maybe I'll go live a little bit later on, maybe around the same time it is right now. But we're kind of play that by ear. So we got Lucky and Money getting a shot in the butt again, and see what other fun stuff they're going to go through tomorrow. They don't know it's coming yet, so I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes when you take dogs in the past to the vet, once they see it, once they see where you're taking them, they don't want to go in. So I don't know if they'll be that way or not. I don't know how the experience was for them. So I just know my mom's dog, and I've had dogs in the past and stuff like that. Like once you take them somewhere they know they don't like, sometimes it's the groomer. You pull up. They don't want to get out of the car. You put them on the leash and you start walking them, and they're trying everything not to walk in that direction because they know the direction of either the groomer or the vet. So, but like lots of times, I don't know why. Lots of times it's the groomer. I used to have I used to have a golden doodle, and my mom has a golden doodle, and my sister has labradoodles, but it's a mix between a golden retriever or a lab and a poodle, but they have poodle hair, so their hair grows. The hair is curly most of the time, or wavy, so you have to go get it groomed and cut. If you don't, it just grows, and they get little knots, like really close to it's really close to their skin. It's a little knot, and then they're scratch a lot because it's pulling their skin. So So 100% when you have that breed, you have to take them to the groomer. Um, I shouldn't have to do that for with money or lucky, but they kind of have lab hair. But yeah, we'll see how they do tomorrow. See if they know where they're going, or once they see the place. But they might be too young. You know what I mean? They were only when we took them the first time last month. They were only maybe 2 months. So now they're 3 months old. So they might not remember. Maybe they do, but we'll see. But that's tomorrow. So maybe I'll film it. I don't know. They're bigger now, so I don't. Last time I carried them on the motorbike, I had Aang drive the motorbike, and I kind of held him like this on the motorbike on the back of the bike. I don't. I mean, I know I can hold them like this. But they're bigger. So I don't know if they will. If they squirm, of course, I don't want to drop them off the bike. But we do have this basket we can put them in. But we'll see. We'll play by ear tomorrow. We'll play by ear tomorrow morning. What's going to happen, or maybe we'll have to take one at a time. That will just be the worst case scenario. Drive one over, do its thing, then come back and drive the other one over. But that's tomorrow. Plus, we got the Sunday coffee talk. Then, unless I combine the two into one, I thought about that. But anyway, we'll see if I get live tomorrow or not. If not, 100% I'll be live on Monday. And we only have about 2 or 3 more chapters to go out of this book. Then we'll wrap that baby up. But anyway, tribe, got off on a tangent. 10 minutes later, I'm really going this time. Remember, I love you guys. And I will see you on the next live stream.